Hello, sleepy explorer. Tonight, we're going on a gentle little walk into one of the coldest, strangest corners of modern history. The Dyatlov Pass incident. 9 hikers, 1 mountain, and a series of events that left search teams confused. Scientists baffled and conspiracy theorists deeply satisfied. But hey, don't worry. Tonight isn't about solving mysteries. It's about enjoying the mystery. So, let's go back in time. It's January 1959. The Soviet Union. 9 students from the Ural Polytechnical Institute decide to go hiking across the Ural Mountains. Why? Well, because it's cold, dangerous, and remote so naturally. It sounds like a perfect vacation. Idea. They're all experienced hikers, trained for these expeditions. Their leader, a 23-year-old engineering student named Igor Dyatlov. Calm, clever, and the kind of person who probably organized his backpack using color-coded string. Asterisk. The group included 7 men and 2 women. There was Zinaida Kolmogorova, fearless and friendly, once said to have punched a bear. Yes, seriously. Rustem Slobodin, a quiet guy with a good sense of direction. Lyudmila Dubanina, known for her bold opinions and warm heart. There was Yuri Doroshenko, who once wrapped himself in a stovepipe during a trip and declared, "Warm enough." And of course, Yuri Yudin, who we'll come back to later. Asterisk. On January 23rd, they begin their journey. They take trains, buses, even a sleigh pulled by horses. They hike through deep snow, laughing, journaling, and taking photos. Honestly, it looked like fun. If you're into frostbite. On February 1st, they pitch their tent on a slope of a mountain called Kolat Sayakal. That name, in the local Mansi language, means Mountain of the Dead. Cozy. Asterisk and then ... silence. The team was supposed to return by February 12th. But they didn't. Days passed. Families grew anxious. The institute sent out a search party. What they found would make headlines for decades. Asterisk, but that's a story for another part. Right now, let's sit with this moment. 9 young hikers, full of dreams, camping on a mountain whose name whispers warning. They laugh inside their tent, sip tea from metal cups, and scribble notes in notebooks. Outside, the snow falls quietly, and something begins to stir. Asterisk. Sleep well, if you can. Part 2 will wait. Asterisk. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's rewind a tiny bit. Because not all 9 hikers made it to the end of the journey. One of them turned back early. His name was Yuri Yudin. He suffered from health issues, sciatica, and joint pain. When the team reached a remote village before the real hike began, Yuri looked at the coming blizzards, looked at his aching knees, and said something along the lines of, "Yeah, you know what? I'm good." And so, he said goodbye and returned home. Asterisk. This made Yuri Yudin the only survivor. Not because he was lucky, but because he listened to his knees. It's funny how a little twinge of pain can sometimes save a life. Years later, Yuri would say that he never felt lucky. He missed his friends, and he spent most of his life wondering what really happened. Asterisk. Meanwhile, back on the mountain, the rest of the group moved on. They hiked through deeper snow, slept in tents, and kept up their cheerful spirits. We know this because they kept journals, wrote songs, took photos. They even celebrated a fake holiday they made up just for fun. Dyatlov Group Day. Everything seemed fine. Until February 12th came and went, and there was no sign of them. Asterisk. Families got worried. Professors made phone calls. The institute sent out a small team of volunteers. And eventually, the Soviet government sent soldiers. This was no longer a school trip gone wrong. This was a full-blown national mystery. Asterisk on February 26, nearly a month after the group's last journal entry, the search party spotted something strange against the snow. A partially collapsed tent, buried in snow ... with cuts in the fabric, made from the inside. Asterisk, but what happened next? That's for part 2. For now, let's leave our hikers on the mountain. Still smiling. Still writing songs. Still unaware that their story would be told for generations. Asterisk, when the search party found the tent ... Something felt ... off. The tent had collapsed partially, yes, but not from snow or wind. The fabric had long, deliberate cuts from the inside. It looked like someone had slashed their way out, not walked out calmly, not opened the flap. Slashed. In a panic. Asterisk inside the tent, things were oddly ... normal. Boots were still lined up neatly. Jackets, sleeping bags, even a flask of cocoa left untouched. It was as if the hikers had just vanished into the snow without getting dressed. Asterisk, and outside? Footprints, barefoot, leading away from the tent. Not running, walking, single file into the woods. In -30 degrees Celsius weather. At night. Asterisk, after 500 meters, they found 2 bodies. Doroshenko and Krivonoshenko, under a tree, barefoot and barely dressed. Their hands were burnt. The tree above them was broken, branches snapped, as if they tried to climb. There was a small fire, long dead. Asterisk, a few hundred meters further. They found Igor Dyatlov, the leader, facing the tent, like he was trying to crawl back. Not far from him, Zinaida, and then Rustim, both in similar poses, as if they were all trying to go back. Asterisk, that made 5. 5 bodies, all lightly dressed. Frostbite, definitely, but also some had bruises, broken ribs. One had a cracked skull, and no shoes. Asterisk, the remaining 4 took 2 more months to find. They were discovered in a ravine, under 4 meters of snow. Their bodies were better dressed, as if they had taken clothes from the others. But here's where things get even stranger. Dubinina was missing her tongue and eyes. Zolotaryov had broken ribs as if hit by a car, and there were traces of radiation on their clothing. Asterisk, the final report, was ... vague. It blamed a compelling natural force. No one knew what that meant. And the case? Closed. Files locked away, but whispers grew. Of government experiments, of lights in the sky, of something on that mountain that didn't want to be found. Asterisk, so what happened on that mountain? It's the question that launched 1,000 Reddit threads, a dozen documentaries, and at least 1 terrible horror movie. And the truth is, we still don't really know. But we have guesses. Lots and lots of gentle, sleep-friendly guesses. Asterisk, theory 1. The avalanche sheet, simple. They heard a rumble, panicked, cut their way out of the tent, ran into the cold, and some froze. Some got hurt by falling snow. It makes sense. Except it doesn't. Because the tent was still there, still upright. And the footprints? Calm and organized. Even the official avalanche study in 2019 said, possible, but not very likely. Asterisk, theory 2. Secret Soviet weapons testing now. We're getting spicy. Some believe the area was used to test ultrasonic weapons or parachute mines, or even radioactive bombs. And maybe the hikers got caught in the wrong place, at the wrong time. The radiation? The injuries? The missing tongue? It all lines up, kind of. But there's no record, no blast crater, just quiet snow and silence. Asterisk Theory 3. UFOs and aliens, yes. Of course. Some say they saw strange orange lights in the sky around that time. A few of the last photos on the group's camera show. Blurry lights, maybe. They saw something they weren't supposed to. It's weird. It's wild. But hey, we're not here to judge. We're here to relax. Asterisk Theory 4. Infrasound and panic now. This one is weird but kind of science. A phenomenon called the Kármán vortex street can create low-frequency sounds when wind passes over mountains. These sounds can cause intense panic in humans without any actual threat. So maybe they panicked, ran into the cold, then tried to come back. No monsters, just the wind, whispering a bit too loudly. Asterisk Theory 5. Something not from here. Of course, some say there was a creature, not quite human, maybe an ancient forest spirit, or a cryptid, something that doesn't like being photographed. The Mansi tribes called that mountain Kolat-Syakal, mountain of the dead. Maybe they knew something we didn't, or maybe they just liked spooky names. Asterisk in the end. No theory explains it all. The footprints, the injuries, the radiation, the missing shoes. Each guess leaves something out. And maybe that's the beauty of it. Asterisk before it became a mystery. It was just a trip. A group of young friends, with frozen socks, bad jokes, and a slightly overpacked camera bag. They wrote in diaries, took photos, not knowing that these small notes would become historical artifacts. Asterisk the journals are surprisingly sweet. One entry jokes about a teammate snoring louder than the wind. Another complains that their cocoa ran out early. They even celebrated a fake holiday Dyatlov group day, complete with jokes and homemade awards. Asterisk they wrote songs too. Silly little rhymes. About boots freezing. About how bad everyone smelled after 4 days in the same clothes. You know, classic camping content. Asterisk. One of the last entries says, "Today we ascend the pass. Weather is calm. Sky is clear. Morale is high." They were hopeful, at peace, completely unaware of what was coming. Asterisk and then the photos. Rolls and rolls of them. Snowy trails. Goofy faces. Selfies before selfies were cool. Rustam holding a spoon like a sword. Xena laughing with her hair frozen into icicles. Asterisk. Then comes the final photo. And no one really agrees on what it shows. It's blurry, dark. Some say it's just a mistake, a light leak. Others see a human figure standing just outside the flash, watching. Asterisk some even believe there was a 10th person. A shadowy figure seen in multiple frames. Too tall. Too distant from the others. Maybe a hiker. Maybe. Not. Asterisk, but before we get spooky, let's remember, these were real people. Laughing, climbing, singing off-key in tents. They weren't part of a conspiracy. They were just living. Asterisk. And Yuri Yudin, the one who turned back. He kept those journals. Those photos. He visited their graves every year. And when asked what he believed, he simply said, "I don't know, but I miss them." Asterisk, maybe that's what matters most. Not how they died, but how they lived. Together, on a mountain, in the snow, with jokes, tea, and way too many socks. Asterisk, the snow fell, and then it stopped. The mountain went silent again. Years passed. Files were closed. People moved on. but the story never really faded. Asterisk in 1990. Yuri Yudin, our lone survivor, stood at the foot of Kholat Syakhl once more. Older, slower, but still haunted by memories. He didn't bring a camera this time. Just flowers, and a simple sentence he whispered, "I'm still here. I'm still listening." Asterisk new investigations have come and gone. Documentaries, experiments, even computer simulations. Each tried to explain something, but always left something behind. Because how do you explain frostbite, fear, friendship, and the way snow remembers everything except the truth? Asterisk. Some say the Dyatlov Pass case will never be solved. And maybe that's okay. Some mysteries aren't puzzles. They're stories. And stories aren't for solving. They're for remembering. Asterisk. So tonight, let's do just that. Let's remember them. Zina, Igor, Rustem, Lyudmila, Semyon, Yuri, Alexander, Nikolai, Georgie, not for how they died, but for how they lived, with snow in their boots, tea in their cups, and songs in their hearts. Asterisk. But that's a story for another part. Not anymore. Now we've told it all. So let's sit with this moment. 9 young hikers, full of dreams, camping on a mountain whose name whispers warning. They laugh inside their tent, sip tea from metal cups, and scribble notes in notebooks. Outside, the snow falls quietly, and something begins to stir.